This is a very good lesson in making sure that we are situationally aware and pointing out certain clues, because guess what? This is something that we could have easily swerved around if we saw it ahead of time. So if you're new to this channel, what we do here is we go over motorcycle close calls and motorcycle accidents so we can learn from them. It's called an after action report. We're going to take the good and the bad and we're going to try to learn from it. I also want you guys, if you've been watching this for a while, to start utilizing some of these things when you're out riding, because guess what? When we see this, it's going to imprint some things into our brain so that we can see it while we're actually riding and paying attention. It's really crazy how it works. So what we're going to be doing is going over three things: mindset, training, and competency. What's the mindset of the rider? What type of training was utilized, which is going to be a huge host of things, physical and mental, and how competent were they in that training? You know, it's one thing to know what to do, it's another thing to actually do it. So right here, we're going to be looking at this scene right now. We have the GPS playing right now on his phone, and we have multiple cars, interstate, not a very good line of sight, and it's going to be construction zone. You can even see that they have construction materials off to the side right here. So a lot of people are going to say, you know, his phone's going to be distracting, his phone's going to be distracting, all these different things. I personally use GPS when I'm riding and when I'm driving, even if I don't need it, just so I can have up-to-date stats on possible slowdowns, traffic collisions, all these different things, because it does get updated pretty good on Google Maps. So that is the mindset right there. Now we're going to move into training. Now this is going to take a bulk of the video here. And right away I see brake lights really briefly to this left right here. So now I see a brake light, so I'm in that yellow stage. We're going to be talking about situational awareness tomorrow, so if you want to see that video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell button, because you'll get notified right away. Or what I like to do now is leave it at the end of the video. So if you want to see it early, stay to the end of the video. So right here, I see some brake lights, and that's going to start putting me from yellow stage, which is going to be aware but relaxed, to now in the orange stage where, okay, something's happening. I got to focus because those brake lights grab my attention. That is a possible hazard. It's a clue for a hazard. And now I really got to make sure, okay, what's going on? Okay, I'm not going to hyper focus on it, but I see something happening. So I'm going to start reaching for this clutch lever, and I'm going to reach for that brake lever and just kind of hover around that, getting ready for any type of evasive maneuver. So now we're going to move forward a little bit. Now I got brake lights right there. Let's go move forward a little bit so we get a better shot. We have 3 cars with brake lights. Why do 3 cars have brake lights? Now this is that training portion, the hazard perception, situational awareness, that is super important, because motorcycle riders are dying every single day because they just don't see the hazard until it's too late. And when it's too late, there's nothing you could do about it. So right here we have 3 vehicles applying the brake lights. That should jump you up into the orange mode, and now we're getting ready in the red stage. So what that means in red stage, like I said, we're going to go over it tomorrow, is that we're going to make evasive action. We're going to do something that is going to either take us out of the situation, or we're going to screw it up and not be competent in it, and it's going to put us in a worse situation, like grabbing a fistful of front brake and then dumping the bike. That is a bad maneuver, and that is something that if you're not competent in braking, I highly recommend checking out the progressive braking video that I posted last week. It'll be in the description. So right now, this is going to put you in the like massive orange stage, and I'm ready. I'm looking for escape paths. I'm making sure if I could swerve, if I can move somewhere else. I would be doing a quick head check just to make sure there's nobody to my sides, so that if I had to, I can get into a different lane if I have to. That is where I'm at in this situation, and this happens in a split second. It's not an armchair thing. This happens split second with training and training and training. Like I said, guys, train like your life depends on it, because it actually does when it comes to motorcycle riding. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it play, and I want you guys to see that how this van is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It is doing its own evasive. It saw something with its brake lights, so it was in yellow mode, hopefully, saw something, it went into orange, and then now it's red, where it started to apply the brakes and tried to swerve, but guess what? It can't go anywhere because there's obstacles to its left and its right, and he's just gonna take up the whole lane, and hopefully it doesn't damage his vehicle. And then that should be indicating to you that something is in this person's way, something's gonna be in my way, because this is path of travel. So I'm gonna get into a different lane, I'm gonna lane filter if I have to, I'm gonna apply the brakes and then swerve, not do it at the same time, but brakes and then swerve, or swerve then brake. And that is gonna be a huge, huge clue that something is about to happen to me. And this is why I say hazard perception is massive for you guys, because if you can't see it, you won't be able to avoid it. So right here, he doesn't see it until right now. It's like, oh crap, Now we're in red stage. You see how he has the brakes, you see how he has his hand on the clutch. Now when you go over an object, you don't want to apply the brakes because your suspension dives down and it's going to compress the suspension. You need your suspension to go over the obstacle. So what you really want to do is blip it and then lift your butt up just a little bit or enough if it's a big object, because that back end's going to bounce up and it's going to hit you, and then you could possibly go up and over or at least lose some control because you're putting all that weight on those handlebars. So when we get to this position, you have an option to swerve. If you're going too fast for the swerve, then you got to go over it. If you can't avoid the obstacle, you have to go over it, and then you have to go over it appropriately. And this is where training comes in. And if you're wondering, well, how can I train going over an obstacle? There's speed bumps everywhere, guys. Find a parking lot with a speed bump, learn how to go over it. It's as simple as that. And then before you know it, it's gonna be instinctual. And then if you see something like this, you're just gonna instinctually lift your butt up and then go over it. And hopefully you're not gonna crash. So right here, he's gonna apply the brakes and it's gonna compress the suspension. And then that's when you notice that it's gonna be a massive change of input into the handlebars. And luckily he didn't dump the bike. So what we can learn from this is that we need to be aware. We need to stay zoned in the yellow stage. And if something happens, like brake lights are being applied, jump into that orange stage where you are hyper aware of something is about to happen. It's out of the ordinary. It isn't an anomaly that, people are applying brake lights. Why are they all applying brake lights? That's because something is in the way or something is happening, and that should trigger a response in you that you should be super aware of what's going on. So then you can make good decisions well ahead of time. I would like to say thank you to my patrons for making this video possible. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to support, become a patron yourself, or just click subscribe and share. That'd be great if you did that. But with that said, I hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and check out the video for tomorrow.